Today, we are unpacking one of the most overwhelming times of our whole life.
That's right. We are going to talk about when the pandemic hit, what that was like inside of our family restaurant. So we hope you'll stay tuned for this exciting minisode about overcoming overwhelm.
We're talking leadership this week, and one of the organizations we are so proud to be at the helm of is the Neuroencoding Institute.
We got to co-found the Neuroencoding Institute alongside Dr. Joseph McClendon III, amazing world-renowned neuropsychologist and incredible mentor and teacher. If you're at all interested in learning more about what the Neuroencoding Institute does and what it can do for you, please visit neuroencoding.com.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Fenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Fenix Productions.
Okay, we're going to open the book. I wish I had a book here. So imagine page flipping noises to the chapter that we affectionately call 2020, the longest year of many of our lives. I believe that we aged 7 years in 1 year. It was a dog year.
It was a dog year. We all started talking about each day equaled several years, or, are you measuring that in pandemic time? Maybe you had some of those release valve jokes going as well. But it was not a very funny time, taking us back to March and April 2020. We had an 85% drop in revenue literally overnight. That wasn't an 85% drop in scheduled employees. That was not an 85% drop in the $50,000 U.S. foods bill that was due in 5 days. That was not an 85% drop in our lease payments, but it was an 85% drop in our revenue. So all of our business owners out there, and probably anyone who's at least had a little bit of math, is going, how did you pay the bills? That was the big question that we had to ask ourselves. And we had to take a lot of action in the meantime in order to overcome the extreme overwhelm with a task like that.
So on March 17th, our governor shut down non-essential businesses. And as restaurant owners, with 6 of them at the time that were under our direct management, we now, and 4 franchises that had to be managed as well, we now had a very large ship in a very stormy sea, as restaurants were deemed non-essential and we could not go forward with much of our business. And so when Shyla says 85% drop in revenue overnight, she's not kidding. We got shut down on a Wednesday, and by Friday, we were hitting panic mode button. We were doing absolutely everything we could to try and figure out how to make it through this incredibly overwhelming time. Now, Shyla and I we're like fighters in the ring. The two of us have a strength. If you're familiar with Clifton Strength Finders, both of us have the activator strength in our top strengths. And activators are known for taking quick action, right? The small punches to get the win. And that was us in the ring with the pandemic, fighting for the life of our business. And boy, did we punch a lot of little punches.
All right. So we were trying smoothie kits. We were doing to-goes. We were doing specials. We were trying gift card sales. We were doing delivery. We did so many mimosa kits, Bloody Mary kits, family pancake kits. Like, we tried all of these different things, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. We had one that worked really, really well and saved the family business. And that'll be another story for another time, or at least you'll get a quick version of it here. But ultimately, we just kept throwing those small punches, and a lot of them did seemingly nothing. But what they did the most for us was keep us hopeful and keep us acting and keep us active in front of our audience of community, of guests, of eggheads, as we lovingly call those who frequent our restaurant, our egghead nation. They were watching us in that ring. They were rooting for us. They saw that we didn't stay down, that we were going to get back up and keep throwing punches. And part of that helped keep us going during those rough times. And then we had the big idea, the one that actually worked, that saved the family business, but it wouldn't have come about had we not been throwing just I almost said a bad word, a lot of spaghetti at the wall.
We threw so much spaghetti at the wall. And like Shyla said, it's another story for another time, the thing that saved the family business. But the overwhelm that we found with this particular situation was so great. And our mountain was so steep that we had to really start approaching everything with, like Shyla liked to call our communication strategy, the chocolate almond, right? We were covered in this beautiful chocolate that was the hope of our messaging and of our feel. But there was this nut of reality with where we were, both financially and from a business sense. And that nut of reality was on the verge of losing it all. But to make a very long story short, we ended up saving that family business. We got ourselves to the summer when we could receive a little bit of funding to help us then get through that next winter and then into the labor crisis of the following year. But my goodness, did action help us this time in overcoming overwhelm?
Now, you're all family, so we are not going to even sit here and pretend that we did not sob our brains out
so much,
almost nightly during March and April, that there were moments of doubt, that there were moments of anguish that are particularly my children who are younger witnessed this anguish and this front row seat to that overwhelm. But what they also witnessed was that courage to not give up, to keep taking action, even through the pain of it. And ultimately, we come to stand on the other side. So if you're in an overwhelming situation like that, know that your two sisters are over here cheering you on. If we can get through the pandemic, you can get through this.
Keep throwing those punches.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.